Fen, as the previous speaker, are very much a peat enthusiast, been working in the East Anglian Fens 15, 20 years, but it's actually only in the last couple of years where we've really got going with actually thinking about peatland restoration because of the funding. Because next slide, please. Yeah, just for those of you who might not know where the East Anglian Fens are, it stretches right up from Lincoln right down to sort of Cambridge, covering Lincolnshire, Cambridgeshire, bits of Norfolk, a little bit of Suffolk. So a huge area, this Fenland Basin, all four rivers running down into the Wash, but very much a man-made landscape, all below the 5-metre contour. You can see there's lots of little pink blobs around the edge, and that's remnants of our peatland habitats. But it's very much an agricultural landscape, and there's very few trees standing in our area today. Next, please. Right, so why I put this on, because I'm very much going to talk about silver birch and Holme Fen. And this is a picture of Whittlesea Mere, because this isn't far from Peterborough, and it was until, as it says on the map, 1852 when it was drained, and it was a huge mere, almost 20 miles across, the largest probably south of the Lake District. And Holme Fen today sits on the southwest corner. I think if we were able to look at the map, it has a few references to home and some place names that we're still familiar with today. So we've got people who visited the mere in Victorian times and just said it's a marvellous area for wildlife, huge open, sort of very shallow water area. Next, please. Right. Those who might know me, I thought I'd better stick some Lego in to make sure you're all still listening. So this is actually a depiction of the Holme Fen posts. We did a model of the Great Fen a few years ago, but those of you who don't know, these Holme posts, these were put in at the edge of the mere in 1852. Sort of a forward-thinking farmer put them in, so it was top of the Peatland Basin, and now sort of it's 4 meters have shrunk. We've lost 4 meters of our peat, and many of you, I'm sure, you've heard of the posts, and now it's surrounded by silver birch. We can go to the next slide. Yeah, there's a sort of a whole series of these pictures of the posts, and they're really good record of how our peat has shrunk and the huge Fenland dome. And if you can recall that picture of Whittlesea Mere, so this Holme Fen was on the edge of the mere, and it would have 4 meters. Well, probably got a couple of meters left peat today, so maybe 6 or 7 meters of deep peat, and it's still shrinking. And that's the frightening thing. It's still going just under a centimetre a year. And if we had somebody like Dr. Ross Morrison on the call, he would say that with the silver birch, we're emitting a lot of greenhouse gases still. Next, please. Yeah, so Holme Fen today, NNR, one of our oldest NNR, had its 70th anniversary a year or two ago, but it's managed by Natural England and part of the Great Fen Project. And the idea of the Great Fen, the start of it, was trying to connect 2 of our existing national nature reserves, Holme Fen and Wood Walton Fen. But Holme Fen today is a really lovely silver birch woodland, and you'll see, if you went there today, lots of paths and trails and walking around a silver birch area with surrounding farmland. And the key point to this, even though I'm Natural England, we sensibly designate it as a SSSI for the fungi and the silver birch, and we've got very limited open access land in this landscape, and it's such a popular destination. If you can show the next picture, we'll see some lovely pictures of trees and the fungi, and there's a picture of the post today again, but lots of different fungi, lots of nice woodland walks, but really concerned about fire risk and access. I mean, we've had few little smouldering, but it's really defunct peat on the top. It's really flaky, and it's very dry. People love to come in the summer because, or if there's even in winter, because if all clay woodlands are slightly damp, it's always dry in Holme Fen. It's such sort of very dry, flaky peat. So that's what it looks like today. So go on to the next picture, please. So what it would have been like, we've got records of how many species we've lost, and lots of vestiges of species just holding on, and I particularly like butterflies, so I put this large copper and swallowtail butterfly would have been abundant. We've got records from Victorian entomologists this area, but there's loads and loads of other fen Pacific species which would have dominated this area. But of course, these have long gone since drainage. Next, please. Yeah, and just had to have a field of lettuces really to give it an idea of what the surrounding land is like. You know, it's known for its vegetable growing and salad production, but I mean, farmers are beginning to think of change because the peat is disappearing. And although I've been working in the fens for many years and thinking about peatland restoration, this Nature for Climate Peatland Grant Scheme is the sort of first sort of opportunity now with funding that we're able to actually think about it, peatland restoration in the lowlands. So it's sort of a bit behind perhaps in our sort of journey for restoration. It's only the last couple of years with funding we've actually been looking at it, and things have been changing with the farming community. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is a picture of a colleague, might be on this call. This the last bit of sphagnum. We've got a tiny bit of open sphagnum at Holme Fen. This was taken a couple of weeks ago, frosty weather, but remnants of sphagnum, probably the only bit left in Cambridgeshire really, but it's surrounded by silver birch trees and it's definitely drying out. Next, please. Yeah, you don't need to look at this detail. I just put it in to show the green. It's obviously Holme Fen as it is, all the silver birch, and the rest is really surrounding arable fields. And all the arrows give a really good complicated picture of all the direction of water flow. We've had, with the funding, we've been able to really investigate the hydrology, but we have to really think carefully what we can do, because there's a lot of other things to consider. There are neighbours who still farm the land. There's the East Coast main line passing by, and not far from the A1, so, and the habitation. So we have to think the impacts within a landscape, and obviously as drainage has occurred, we'll sit at a couple of meters higher than surrounding land. So it's very complicated. This is pump drain landscape. Those of you who are not familiar with the fens, it's pumped 3 times before the water goes out into the wash, literally. Next, please. Yeah, I mean, we are getting some good news stories with the Great Fen Project, and the wider, like Wicken Fen Vision. That's another a National Trust project you probably have heard of. But some big things are coming about. The cranes and the bitterns, numbers are probably very much reduced from what there would have been, but it's on a very small scale. But you have to consider what we're losing. We have got silver birch woodland, but those of you know on this call, I'm sure But silver birch colonizes very quickly anywhere, and we've had some paludiculture trials or wet farming trials, and the silver birch has just grown rapidly. So any bare area of peat around the Holme Fen area, silver birch grow rapidly. So the question is, should we keep peat? Should we continue to allow the silver birch on Holme Fen? Next, please. Yeah, and I just wanted to finish. This is actually a picture of a family holiday in Latvia a few years ago, showing a raised bog and the open landscape. Our landscape is definitely changing with climate change. Obviously, our very, very dry summers in the east. We had some years we've hardly get any rainfall in the summer, increasingly hotter temperatures and slightly wetter winters, but the rainfall patterns changing. So we don't think the landscape will ever look like the picture in front of you, but is having silver birch on Holme Fen the right way to go, as it's still drying out. So what think we're going to try and do is not overnight remove all the silver birch, because of the access, people would miss the silver birch, and other areas will probably, hopefully, the silver birch will grow, but we might try and over the years sort of remove a little bit. But really what we need to do is re-wet it a bit and try and sort of get it a bit wetter. That will greatly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions and will change our habitat. We might lose again a fungi, but I'm sure that it'll recolonize in other areas. So actually that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks, Catherine. Really interesting to hear a little bit about how complex the water management is in your landscape, and thinking about, whilst they're part of a natural system and part of the site, are they something you want in there long term? And it'd be interesting, I might pop it into the questions, but yeah, how you considering those decisions within the picture of the greater fen as well, and sort of what the ambition is across the landscape. Brilliant. I will end the recording.